Run, Jack, run!
Oh fuck, I'm gone!
Well, what's the crack, everyone? I'm Jack. And if you're new here, I'm 29 and I'm Irish. And if you haven't guessed already, I fucking love to travel. So much so that it's actually become my whole life. To start from the beginning, well, I originally moved to Canada. My plan at the time was only to leave for 6 months. And now here we are, 6 years later. I've done a lot in that time, and I've seen a couple of cool places. 5 years ago I went and done a snowboarding season on a mountain. 4 years ago I went and moved to Hawaii. 3 years ago I went and travelled South and Central America. And 2 years ago, well, that's when I moved to Africa. And you know what? I've been here ever since. I never really had a plan of what I was going to do when I got down here. But I ended up buying my own car and putting a bed in the back of it. And that's kind of what I've been living out of for the last 2 years. I've done a few road trips around Africa, and now my plan is to drive it back to Ireland. And if you want to come along for the ride, let's start in the beginning here, in South Africa.
What you doing, Jack? I'm a vlogger now.
Trying to text some hostels so we have a place to stay tonight.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Hey, sorry, was just checking if this number would work. I'm Jack, athlete with Jack Zero. Me and my friend Beata are photographers and videographers, and I'm here on a surf project. We just arrived in Mossel Bay. We're here for the next 2 nights. We were wondering if you'd like to collab in exchange for photos or for a couple of Instagram stories. I have 191,000 cringe on Instagram and 665,000 on TikTok. I'm so impressive. Living in a car.
Living in a car.
You see, a couple of years back I got this little platform on social media, which means I no longer have to scrub toilets in hostels for accommodation. I could travel and then use my skills behind the camera as payment. So to help fund my travels, every so often I'd send out one of these cringy texts. And then I got a reply for a surf camp in Jeffreys Bay. And that kind of changed everything. I would end up hosting my own surf camps with the lodge. And Emily, the manager of the lodge, well, she became my girlfriend.
Hi guys, welcome to the vlog.
What else?
I don't know where to drive. There's literally nothing around us.
I somehow managed to convince her to take time off work and to come travelling with me. This would be my first real African road trip. The plan was to drive from South Africa up along the Eastern Cape to Mozambique. From there, drive across Mozambique to Zimbabwe. Catch our breath at Victoria Falls, and then after make a turn and head straight for Botswana. I heard you can see tons of wildlife at the side of the road in Botswana, so the plan was to drive the whole way through and wild camp in the salt pans until we got to Namibia, and then finish it off by driving through the Namibian desert all the way back to South Africa.
I'll pack my bags, I'm on the road, I'm going home. Now I'm on my way home, to the place that I know. I've packed my bags, I'm on the road, I'm going home. Now I've been to many places that never left a mark, but ever since I left my home I couldn't find a spark.
We finished up our road trip and got back to South Africa just in time. Cause remember those surf camps I was telling you about? I was hosting my first ever one, so we both had to get ready.
What? Nothing different.
Now if you were to ask me my biggest dream in life, I'd say it's to one day open up my own surf hostel. So this is what I like to call me gaining some experience. We built out a 14-day surf package and also kinda disguised it as a little adrenaline camp. And what's the name, you ask? Well, I figured since I go online by Fleetwood Jack, I figured Fleetwood Pack sounds pretty good. And whenever I open up my hostel, you know it's going to be called the Fleetwood Shack. I went live with these camps on my own social media, and everyone else seemed as excited as I was. And when the first one went live, it sold out in 12 minutes. And now one day I'm going to have my own surf hostel, and I'm going to use everything I've learned here. And now over the 2 years in Africa, I ran 4 of these camps. And you know what? I made a lot of fucking lifelong friends. Now the next chapter was just the start of a new adventure. One me and Emily both were going to be taken together. Our plan was simple. Well, actually not so simple. We wanted to drive the whole way up along Africa, from South Africa all the way to Morocco, and from there take the ferry back to Europe. So like I said, Not so simple. The quickest route would be to head up the west coast of Africa, but we'd also missed out on so many other countries. So the plan was to head up the east side, as far as we could get, and then loop back down, and then head up the west coast of Africa. So we started the road trip. We went and snowboarded in Lesotho. I got food poisoning in Eswatini, before eventually making it to one of my favourite countries, Mozambique. So good that we had to come back a second time. From here we kissed the coast and went the whole way up Mozambique. We didn't have much in our setup. We'd built a frame bed so we could have a mattress in the back. We got gifted a jackery and that was our electricity. A small little stove and a couple of pots and pans. A small little box to keep our food, and of course a couple of surfboards. And that's it. Sometimes I think when building out a van that less is actually more, and we just really wanted to get on the road. Our time in Mozambique was split between camping and sending out some of those cringy emails that I did earlier on. Sometimes we got replies, sometimes we didn't. But it definitely helped. We'd be leaving the coast now for a while, so we knew we wouldn't be surfing much more. I then got a reply from Gorongosa National Park, and they said that if we come pay the park fees, we can come stay with them for a while. And this in turn was one of my dream collaborations. You see, Mozambique really isn't known for its wildlife, especially when you compare it to some of its neighbours. And that's because the population of these animals would have drastically fell during the war. But times are changing, and from what I've heard, the population has jumped the last few years. And from what I've seen with my own eyes, this place is booming with wildlife. You'll never see as many water buck as you will in Gorongosa National Park.
To your right, sorry. Stop. More to the left. A smaller step. More to the right.
Now the thing is, an African elephant can live for 60 or 70 years. And what I noticed here was the elephants seemed a bit different. A bit more cautious, as if they themselves have lived through a civil war and are still coming to terms with their new life.
To get all the nice fresh stuff. So that's what ends up making them push the whole tree down. Like, okay.
The fresh stuff's at the top and
Yeah.
then they want
So
it.
why break my neck when I can just push the whole tree down? Look at that.
There's the car, and I know if I turn the camera you won't see anything, but there's literally loads of animals all around. So we were told to not to wander tonight.
Hello,
Where are we?
we are in Malawi,
Where are you sleeping?
in the car.
In the car? In this massive hotel room?
There's hippos, and there's elephants, and there's lions.
Outside the car?
Yeah, and inside the car, there's giraffe.
Hello there, Emily. Good morning. How did you sleep? You tired? Ah, she's gone.
Now it was here at this point that our stories both began to change. You see, to actually make this work, we'd both have to start making some compromises. We both really wanted to do the road trip. We just both wanted to do it at different speeds. Emily wanted to pick up the pace, and I always wanted to slow it down. She was always looking for the next destination, while I was always looking to stay a couple more days. So we decided to both make a compromise to help each other out when we could. I tried to pick up my pace and she tried to slow down hers. So in doing that, we drove the whole way up through Malawi. And then after a couple of weeks, we reached Tanzania. And while we were taking the western road up to Burundi, we got to see all this wildlife at the side of the road for free. Which honestly was a massive win, because shit in Tanzania is very expensive. And then we got lucky, because we got our second national park collaboration. This one with Nyerere National Park. Even car camping in the national parks in Tanzania is expensive. We were quoted over $200 in most of them. So this collaboration was perfect because we really didn't have the budget for the national parks here. We then only got a 3-day visa for Burundi, so we're going to skip forward to Rwanda. I didn't realise it cost $1,500 USD to see the gorillas. So instead we hiked Mount Pisoke. They say that there's a 50-50 chance of seeing the gorillas on it. We didn't see them, but it was worth the shot, because the group the following day got to see them. Lucky fuckers.
1200 feet. The mask has dropped just above my
After Rwanda we went back into Tanzania one more time. From here we'd be going up to Uganda and then Kenya before looping back down.
Whoa, look at that.
shining like the moon at
Crazy.
midnight. We're going down a couple hundred.
Hello, that looks sick with the backdrop.
And now the thing is, I'd be heading up to Uganda and then Kenya alone. You see, somewhere along the way, me and Emily realised that we were just better off as friends. See, the thing about compromising is it doesn't always work. Even though we were both meeting each other in the middle, neither one of us was happy. And even though I was travelling faster and she was travelling slower, we could never really make it work. I feel like when you're travelling with someone, you know pretty quick if you're meant to be together or not. And I think we were really just meant to be good friends. So we enjoyed the last couple of days together as good friends. And then she took a flight back to South Africa, and I was back on my own.
Just a couple lovers broken, playing.
And for me, being on my own in the middle of Africa, going through a breakup was definitely a shock to the system. But as I got used to being on my own again, it got better. I slowed down my pace, and I even made a few friends. And then after a little break, I got back on the road. I kind of scrapped the idea of driving from South Africa to Ireland in my head. Well, the thing is, I still want to do it. I just want to do it differently. I just don't want it to be the reason why I'm making all my decisions. Because I feel like that's one of the big mistakes I made. Because when you create an end goal like that in your head, you kind of miss everything in between. Because the reason why I really wanted to do this drive was not to get to Ireland, but to be able to really see all the countries in between. Meet new people, see new things, go on an adventure. So I think that's what my plan's going to be from now on. I'm going to get back in the car and I'm going to drive the direction of Ireland. And if I never get there, that's fine too. Because as fucking cliche as it sounds, the real goal for me is just the journey along the way. And so yeah, that's my story up until now. Feel very grateful to have shared part of it with Emily and still be able to call her a friend. I haven't had too much experience making videos like this. So if you liked it and want to see more, leave a comment, drop a like, and follow along for the rest of the journey going forward. Because we're only getting started.